the Global Director for ESG and Creating Shared Value from Diversey Philippines Incorporated, Mr. Stephen Phang.
All right, so I'm going to dive straight into it. Hoteliers will be very familiar with these waste streams. All right, you have used gas soaps, solid soap bars. Those of you who have already phased out from solid soap bars to go into bulk amenities and so on, that's okay. We still have gas amenities, small bottles, big bottles today. Condemned linens, for those who are not in the industry, will not be aware that actually hotels discard their linens after it drops below the hotel brand standards. So in Singapore, when I look at the numbers about last year, it was 22 tons, 22,000 kilograms of room white linens were discarded last year. So discarded means thrown away, yeah? So it's kind of sayang, very wasteful, yeah? Plastic water bottles. Now, a lot of hotels used to give drinking water bottles in the room, 2 bottles, 3 bottles a day. And a lot of hotels have phased out this practice and moved to refillable bottles and so on, which is wonderful. However, there's one thing you cannot control, which is your guests will go to 7-Eleven or Family Mart and bring their own. So when they leave, that is left in the room and it becomes the hotel's problem again. But buffet food, way before COVID, you have a lot of buffet food waste in the morning. And coffee grounds. So this constitutes about 60-70% of your hotel waste streams every day. Okay. Now, what do we do? Just take the used gas soap for example, right? We have developed programs to utilize this waste to help the local community along the lines of SDG 1, no poverty. And we achieve SDG 1 together with the hotels with initiating SDG 8 as well, which is decent work and economic growth. So how do we do this together? We take the linens, we run a program called Linens for Life, where we take the linens and later on I'll give examples as I go through each of this. Use gas soaps, we turn it into fresh new soap bars, we call it Soap for Whole program. Coffee bricks. We take spent coffee grounds. After you drink each cup of coffee, the spent coffee grounds is then compacted and turned into charcoals and plastic shreds, which is on display today at our booth outside. So I'm going to go through each of this about 2 minutes each. And if you need more information, we can talk more, but because of the time, I'm just going to compress everything down. Okay, so for Hope, basically it has got 3 aims, which is number 1, the hotel now can claim that we are removing 2 tons of solid soap waste from the landfill. Where do I get the 2-ton numbers from? You have a hotel, 700 rooms, 350 rooms, whatever. You give a bar soap of 30 grams per room, per night. Occupancy rate of 80%. Do your maths. That's the amount of soap waste that you generate in a year. We take the soaps, go to local community, teach the local community how to turn this into a new soap bar that looks like this. And then they can sell, or the local NGO like ADB, Asian Development Bank, and WHO local office, they are very, very big supporters. They will buy 500 bars of these soaps. And you'll be wondering, why would ADB need 500 bars of soap? No, they buy, but they don't take possession. They just pay the people to make the soap, livelihood, and then the soaps are then distributed to the greater community like Barangay Penbo, Barangay Esperanza, or whatever, and then everybody in the village now has access to healthcare. I mean, sanitations at least. So, in that way, you can see that the hotel now got a good story. We are removing tons of soap waste from landfill. The communities, a few of them in the community gets to make a small living, and the greater community gets access to free soap. So that's how the process works, right? Okay, I just said all this without the slides. Livelihood, and also in line with the hotel's sustainability values and stories as well. If I don't tell you this picture that these are soaps, you'll probably think that it's cheese or potato. Basically what happened is that we take the used soaps, we cut it into small pieces, and we add little things like lemongrass and ginger and all that to enhance the value. At first when I did this, I didn't realize that lemongrass, I thought it is just to create the scent. But I thought that the hotel soaps are already full of scent. You add in more scent, what's the use? But actually the villagers told me that lemongrass is actually a natural anti-mosquito insect repellent. Okay, so the soap provides hygiene protection, lemongrass protects, gives a second layer of protection. Ginger is the same thing. A lot of villages, when the kids fall down, they get scratches and little blood here and there. So they will take ginger, and it's a natural antiseptic like Dettol. You just rub on that. and we add ginger in as a form of wound healing for them. So it's not so much of the scent, but all these additional things which I learned when I work with the villagers. Then our machine that used to press this thing, yeah? If you can see, there's no electricity, so I don't have to go to a slum and find where's the plug. Nah, I just can do it anywhere I want. And we chose a family that is at risk. When we say at risk, means they're at risk of dire poverty, that they have nothing to sell except themselves or their children or their kidneys. And we put them in the program so that now they got a way to make a living. Yeah? Some of you may be laughing, but if you follow me to where I work, you will realize. I was just telling Christine, my colleague from RHG this morning, that when I first brought Anne Olalo, the GM of today's Park Inn EDSA, she was formerly from Clark. I brought her to a local place in Clark at that time to know the stories of the girls that we rescued from cyber sex. And when she knew about the stories of that girl, I couldn't find her after that. I don't know where she was. I found her behind the kitchen crying her eyes out. And that is the kind of place that we work. Yeah. So I spoke no Cambodian. This picture is taken in Phnom Penh village, Stomenchi rubbish dump. I spoke no Cambodian, they spoke no English, but I showed them how to cut, how to chop, how to press the soaps, and now they're making a living out of it. And then the soaps, as I said, are bought by another agency or the hotels themselves, and then distributed to places such as this. This is a cemetery. This is a cemetery. People who live in cemeteries. Yeah? And this is in the Philippines context, City of Dreams, Soap for Hope, Manila Hilton, Soap for Hope, Shangri-La, Soap for Hope, and they like this story. They go to town with the story. Whoa, that fast? Okay, Linens for Life. I'm just going to go very quickly. First of all, Linens for Life, we started in disaster relief. Sendong. We used it as makeshift stretchers, burial shrouds, and after that, after taking care of the dead, we take care of the living. So people who live in this kind of relocation camps, Makapaya, Karista, Indahak, Ecoville, I've been to all of them. People queue up to retake these linens. Why? Because they turn it into things that they can sell. Okay? Imagine that this is a pillowcase. 3 sides already sold. It's basically a bag. A pillowcase is a bag. You put a drawstring around it, it becomes a laundry bag. Face mask. During COVID, long story, not all lockdowns are created equal. If you work as a trash picker, you can't work from home, you can't do Zoom. You no income, no work, no income. Cannot feed your family, cannot buy face masks. My hotels, I told my hotels, look, we got to do something. So all my hotels came up with linens. 26 tons of linens we collected over 4 months. We made into 1.7 million face masks, which we distributed for free. Shangri-La partners, local communities in the Cebu and so on. This is a thank you note that I got from ETA community back on the north. They sent it to me. Thank you for giving them free face masks. Okay, I'm going to skip this because of time. Okay, coffee breaks. Coffee, every cup of coffee that you drink, there's 10 to 15 grams of wet weight coffee that you throw away. We turn this into a coffee charcoal briquette. Okay? And if you think that it looks exactly the same as my soap, that's because it comes from the same machine. Every family in a village, if it doesn't have electricity, every meal has to be freshly cooked. Every liter of water has to be freshly boiled. So what they do, they send their kids to go and pick up firewood, they chop down tree branches, they buy firewood. So what if we are able to give them another source of alternative fuel, which 160 Starbucks outlets, 6,000 cups per day, you do your maths. There's a lot of coffee ground that is thrown away. We can turn this time factor, skip. You can do that in your office, taught them how to do, and they make coffee breaks, stick it in the sun. The next thing you know, you can do it for your barbecue, boiling water, wood fire pizza oven. And finally, plastic shreds. Sorry, 30 seconds. Plastic problem everywhere in the world. Take the plastics, and we have a machine out there. Drop by anytime if you want. We shred it into little chips like that. So you got 8,000 bottles, which will take up half of this room for storage of our empty bottle waste, and it goes into that tank. 8,500 bottles. It goes into that tank. After that, what do? We add asphalt and turn it into a plastic road, or we add concrete and turn it into a rough surface walking, or we can turn it into smooth surface badminton court, basketball court. And I just looked at the internet. Philippines has started the program. 850 kilograms of plastic were used to construct a road in Quirino Avenue. Google stuff like that. So, yeah. So, just for context, I didn't grow up. I didn't wake up one morning and say I'm going to do all this stuff. I woke up because I felt that there are families in deep dire poverty. They are struggling to survive. Can I help them something? A lot of times we go to a hotel, luxury, where we are, $4 beer in hand, slum just across the road. It just gives you that feeling, yeah? So for me, the easiest conversation to have with a hotel, give me stuff that you want to throw away, give it to all to. Yeah, turn this into a livelihood program so that the people across the slum can make a living, they don't have to sell their children, and the hotel now got a nice story saying we are Captain Environmental, whatever. But that's a bonus for us, for Diversey, because what we want to do is to pull people up from poverty. They don't have to resort to selling themselves or the kids so that the rest of the family can survive. That's the context. All right?